Good morning, troops. We're in for a few months of fun and games. Harry Kane has reiterated his desire to leave Tottenham. Curious business with Sky Sports. Without going down the rabbit hole of trying to investigate if we like the source, the reiteration is a little bit wishful on their part, and I'm not sure that this has actually come from the Kane camp. There are reasons that I say that, and they are not based upon the fact that I believe that Harry will be staying. I think Harry's departure has been inevitable for some time, and looking at certain things that people have said, Ryan Mason talking about Spurs being 5 years behind Manchester City. I mean, does anybody know where my goat is? Because somebody's got my goat. This penury myth, the business that Spurs can't compete, the business that, you know, that everybody else's money is dirty and we don't have any money because we do things the right way. Absolute load of horlicks. Rubbish. Total rubbish. The problem with Tottenham, and it always has been under Levy, is that there's plenty of money. You can't have it both ways. You can't one day be waving the Deloitte receipt table and saying, look at this, we're a big club. Look at those clubs in that list, and we're right at the top of that list. We're making a ton of money, £800,000 on a match day. We're a proper big club. No, we're not. We're not a proper big club. We're a proper big business, and that's why the list has got Deloitte's name at the top of it, and it doesn't have the words Premier League table at the top of it. Okay, and that's a distinction that many Tottenham fans have really struggled with. So you can't be at the top of the Deloitte, funds generated table, and then sit down in a presser and say, well, we can't compete with the likes of so and so, because it doesn't work like that. That's misrepresenting at best. At worst, it's a barefaced lie. So, and this eternal jam tomorrow spiel that the Levy apologists have been comfortable with, all of this stuff is absolute hogwash. And why anybody believed it in the first place beats me. I just can't deal with it. So beyond Kane being, is he going or is he staying? My money is firmly on him going. My money is firmly going on him going to Manchester City and to nobody else. But as I say, prepare yourself, because we're in for several months now of, and I wouldn't even call it speculation, I'd call it doing the dance. And that's separate from any negotiations, but I'm talking about the media clicks and the drumming up stories business. And that's the business we're in. So I don't have a problem with that. Football needs to feed us. So I'm down with that. So what I can't cope with is disinformation, propaganda, and people trying to manipulate how ordinary people think. And I'll give you some examples of this. Now, I speak from the perspective of somebody who I would like Harry to stay with us, for sure. That's no problem. But I can wholly understand why he's run out of patience. But the commentary that we're getting from some, and let's just stick to social media, the newspapers all kind of fall in with their own thing. Heitner's come out with David Heitner from The Guardian, I don't think has come out with this business that he doesn't think Kane will be going, doesn't think Kane's for sale, or Spurs would be happier selling abroad. And this will lead me onto the business about the effect of the market, okay? So we're going to go into the money, and we're going to go into the reality of buying and selling. But there are those that are seeking to guide us by what they say because of their relationship with the club. And as I've been drip feeding you over the last few of these little chats that we have, the stuff that comes from the club when there's no manager in place, especially, I wouldn't describe as poison, but I would certainly describe it as being right up there with misdirection from a magician and wishful thinking that some might look at and say, oh, that's cool, we're going for him. Oh, that's cool, this isn't happening. And the moment that starts to happen, we're in very dangerous territory, because we're hanging on to stuff which ain't true. We're hanging on to wishful thoughts. And let's move away from all that, okay? Alistair Gold works for Football London, which is part of the Reach PLC, which is Trinity Mirror. And all I would say, nothing personal, just dealing in facts, that anybody who gets football information from the Mirror may or may not, I'm not a doctor, need their head looking at. So Reach took a different route, and they've opened up a wash of titles online, and they do very well on the football side of things, whereas the Mirror does not, because it's been sat there putting out dross for the last decades. Alistair Gold has a relationship with the press officer at the club. We know this, but I was just staggered by the reception that he got to some of the messages that he put out online the other day. And it was all this business of, that Spurs don't want to sell Kane. They don't believe Kane is being disruptive to the club that he loves, and all this sort of thing. And, Mr. Levy, blah, blah, blah. And all I can tell you, and I don't want to use the word shill, because that's unpleasant, and that it might be misconstrued as being a personal attack. But this is the same journalist, the same reporter that told us that Hotspur Way had never been so calm. Google it. It's all there. It's all there. Never been so calm. That Daniel's office was still on the same floor, just adjacent from Pochettino's office. Never been so calm. Nobody understood where all this talk was coming from. It was so calm. It was about 24 hours before Pochettino had all his stuff put into bin bags and was fired. So that's an unreliable source. Paul O'Keefe, here's another one. Keep your eyes and ears pinned for this, who the fan representative on the board. This is a good outside bet for you. And another stuffed shirt who is very happy to pass on duff information from the club, and he's another Levy doesn't wish to sell. So let's steam into some realities now. Okay, we've looked at where the noise has come from. We've evaluated the credibility of the noise. So let's look at the process, because that will be the thing that decides where we're heading. And we've got this business of, oh, Daniel will want, and this is where the media is going to go. This is what happened with Gareth Bale, by the way. But obviously, when Bale was sold, the market was exceptionally buoyant, and the market at the moment is as flat as you like, but it doesn't matter. And these are the golden words I'm going to entrust to you. The market decides. Right? That's it. So, if Harry Kane is of a mind to go and play football somewhere else in order to win trophies, that cannot be stopped. And I'll share with you an experience I had that proves this cannot be stopped. I had the misfortune of living in Liverpool for a couple of years, and one of the places that I went to was the Slavery Museum, and it was a dreadful experience. But if we cut to the chase, the whole point was it was a museum, because slavery has been, thankfully, abolished. And most reputable businesses these days have modern slavery agreements or, mission statements. So slavery, bad thing, mustn't ever, ever happen again. You're with me? So Daniel Levy, or any champ, saying this player isn't for sale, or I'll only listen to bids in excess of X amount or Y. Bully for you. The market will decide. So how much is Harry Kane worth? How long is a piece of string? I'll give you the answer to that question. Twice the length it is from its middle to one end. But Kane, oh, he's worth 200 million. He's worth 150 million. Oh, in today's market, he's worth, you know, and you will get 27,000 different answers depending on how many people you ask. It's one of those ones. But the market will decide. So when City and Tottenham sit down, if they haven't already, and start discussing how the deal is going to be structured, how people are going to get paid, and when they get paid, it's not about, oh, COVID, oh, no, he can't be sold because, you know, we've not had any, nobody's interested. If you think of somebody, and we've all met them, if you think of somebody who virtually into any conversation you've ever had with them crowbars in the value of their property, that they own, their house or whatever, that's such a, first of all, it's got nothing to do with them. They can't take any credit for the value of their home because the estate agent tells you what it's worth. And if you put it on the market, the people that come and view it and the estate agent will tell you what it's worth. I'm sorry, you've put your house on the market for 220,000. We've had interest, but everybody's saying the same thing. And the most they'll pay is 205. That is the market telling you how much the house is actually worth. So with Harry Kane, what's going to happen is they'll sit down and let's say they agree upon a number. And don't argue with me about the number because I may as well say 10 quid. In fact, let's say 10 quid. They're going to sell him for 10 quid. First of all, they will sell him if Kane is happy to go to City because it's his decision and there is no slavery. The contract length remaining, there's 3 years, will have a bearing. But again, it won't upset the table and cause the price to be hysterically inflated because the market decides. And I know this is boring and I keep repeating the phrase, but I'm wading through all this misinformation every bloody day and it's so tedious because people's opinions are great, but we've got people, and I mentioned two, and you can add Jack Pitt-Brooke to that list. Somebody, I mean, dear God help us, but these people are telling you these things and they're being emphatic about it. Well, I can tell you they're emphatically wrong. And it just does my head in, you know. So, Kane, City, how much? £10. Okay, that's cool. Except for Daniel says, no, that, you know, I can't even countenance that. Harry Kane says, well, I'm going to City, so just get it sorted. So City say, look, we can go to 11, but we're going to pay you £1 a year, or £1 a month, or £1 a quarter, because it doesn't have to be that much money front loaded into any of these deals anymore. And it's something that Daniel has been a specialist in that respect for many, many years. The other thing as well, just to warn you, is that these deals, these discussions, these negotiations are fundamentally not complex beasts. Thing A wants to go and live in town B or play for Club X or whatever it is. And it is the seller's obligation to find themselves a new house. So you don't turn around you get a buyer lined up, but you don't then turn around to the buyer and say, brilliant, shake hands, I'm now going to start looking for somewhere. Excuse me, I'm ready to go here. We've agreed a price. Yeah, but I'm just going to start looking for somewhere now. Well, how long are you going to take? Well, I don't know. I haven't even worked out where I want to live. I don't even know if I want to live in this country. So it's the seller's obligation to get their act together. And so if Steve Hitching wants to go and look, if Steve Hitching hate it. If Steve Hitchens says, I need time to go round the flea markets of League One in France, or I need time to go to the toilet cleaners convention being held in Turkey to find us some piece of junk for 8 million, or whatever his usual stunt is. That's not the potential buyer's problem. It's nothing to do with them. So what I'm saying to you is that Tottenham have got to get their act together. And we know when it comes to succession planning, they're abysmal. They've done it with so many players. It's ridiculous. So what we can't have is a situation whereby there's 6 days to go before the new season starts and Spurs are still looking for a striker. It might not be what Daniel wants to do, because it's just another colossal blow, another indicator that the club is in total chaos. And don't mistake, stop looking at the stadium, it's a pile of debt. Stop looking at the magnificent and their words, not mine, the magnificent world-class training facilities. All big clubs have them. The club is in a total mess. Absolute disaster, right? Couldn't get any worse. And with the European football, we might get involved in the third tier. And because it's new, a lot of people aren't calling it what it is. They think it's like, oh yeah, this new kind of, European, it's rubbish. And you will see the dross, the absolute remnants, the leftovers, the past their sell-by-date clubs that turn up in this thing. It will be a shameful parade of losers that are involved in that tournament, mark my words. So, Spurs have got to seize the throat of this situation, and it's their duty, because they have a duty of care to the client reference numbers, and if they've got any of it left, to their own self-respect, to get this Kane situation sorted. Yes, I and everybody else probably want him to stay. Is he likely to stay? Highly unlikely to stay. In which case, stop prevaricating, stop pointing at other people, stop making up excuses, and get it done. Get it done and wish him well and move on, and get it done in a timely fashion. That's not unreasonable. It's not complicated. We need to get a new coaching. This is how bad things are. Okay, so we need to get a new coaching who can work with a lot of the deadwood and the dross that's left behind. God help him. And we need to get a proper striker in, because Sonny is 28. He's even older than Kane. So no flim-flam, no yeah but, and no oh yeah but, got to weigh up, Spurs were very quick to wheel out the Brexit thing when, as part of their excuse strategy for the money doubling or whatever it did on the stadium. We're beyond that now. And Tottenham's board, Levy, Cullen and whoever else gets a voice, need to crack on. And I know I'm kind of grinding and groaning about this, but if I don't, nobody else will. We're going to get piffle from people like Gold. Oh, we don't want to sell, and it's an unfortunate position, and Harry loves it. Seriously, it's not actually even boring. It's really unhelpful. And I don't want to be reading this stuff in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks. I don't want to, just spare me. So, a coach that can get a tune out of the deadwood that's there. A striker who can do the job, who arrives and is fresh out the box and works. So that means you don't fanny about and you go and get a Premier League striker that works. I'm not going to try and kid anybody that a director of football comes into the equation, because that's just another find the lady thing from leaving. He has the ultimate say on absolutely everything. Micromanaging, but nothing happens. And he looks at it and says, yeah, okay, cool, thanks. That doesn't happen. It's never happened. So don't worry about a director of football, because if Paul Mitchell couldn't work, and Paul Mitchell is in the process of having a fantastic career, if Mitchell couldn't work and was put on gardening leave for, what was it, 16 months or something, you tell me things like that happen in a business, and then you try to tell me that the business isn't in absolute chaos. So get a coaching that can do a job with aging players. And don't talk, again, I'm not interested in the academy. Skip, yes. There's a couple of lads behind him we don't know. Mourinho tried to give them a few minutes, a little bit of gentle exposure. So, yeah, the academy exists, but in general terms, it's a myth. So let's not get distracted. Let's just get some really, really, really urgent priority business done. So it's a coach. So it's it's a striker. Dear God, get those two things done. No back chat, no excuses, and just and pray to God that we can kind of get a sense of healing happening at this club. It's not going to entirely happen because we know who's in charge. So everything is going to be a compromise. But I think in the short term, which is probably going to be the long term as well, God forbid where we are, but keep all the distractions out of the way and let's be focused on getting the really important stuff right. So supporters trust. If they want to set fire to themselves, and I'm speaking metaphorically in case the Metropolitan Police are listening, if they want to set fire to themselves and watch their world burn, who cares? If Tottenham want to start a campaign of, we ideally wanted this for Harry and all the rest of it, not interested. The academy, not interested. Gormless recycling, thoughtless, mindless recycling of stuff that has no value and is totally out of sync and out of context with what's happening in respect of Kane leaving the building. Just ignore all of this. A coach and a manager. That went on a bit long, but there we go. I'll speak to you again. Good luck. Keep it tight.